So good morning, Freedom Team. As always, it's a wonderful Monday morning. It is at least up here in the beautiful Rockies, beautiful and sunny. Um, anyway, you guys, we like we said just a second ago, now that we're recording, this is going to kind of be an open forum mastermind. Something happened with our original speaker. It's the first time this has happened, just had a conflict in the schedule. We'll get him rescheduled for January or February. So why don't we just make this an open forum? Right? I know a lot of you guys right now, Trish, I know you, bunch of you guys are doing phenomenal things right now, reaching out, probably having some good news, some good stories, or this becomes, hey guys, here's what I got going on with somebody I'm trying to follow up with. What do you guys suggest would be my next step? We can follow up talk about drip campaigns. We're still looking at another CRM. We can talk about that a little bit if we need to, but why don't we just open up to begin with and go, first of all, good morning. Hope all you guys are doing well. Had a great weekend. First of all, why don't we start off, if you guys wouldn't mind, good story, man. Anybody just got a good story here in the last week or two? Kelly, Fastline, I know you do. Why don't you share, if you wouldn't mind, Kelly, not put you on the spot. I know you've had some people starting to jump into the hopper here over the last few weeks. So if you wouldn't mind, maybe share some of your wins and what's going on and what are you doing to make this happen?
Well, I have a good story, but then I'll have a question, but I'll let you go through good stories first.
Okay.
Had an agent join. He was a managing broker of Berkshire and wound up bringing in another managing broker of Berkshire and two other agents with him. And they're engaged. They have 9 people that they want us to talk to in January. And they're going to be powerful. So very excited about that opportunity. Now I'm talking to one of the biggest brokers in a small town in Wyoming. Has had market share for many years there in that town, and he's kind of been open to. He knows he needs to build a better mousetrap. That was his thought, and he's independent. He's not franchised, and got about 90 agents or so. And got him at least, it's been a year or two of just trying to get him to even talk to me. And he's talking to me now, but now he's ghosting me a little bit. So I'm throwing out, I want to get you connected like with Russ Lagan or with Gene Frederick or with somebody. But outside of that, what can I drop that would get him to actually get on the next call?
First thing that comes to my mind is stories. And you said he has 90 agents?
Right.
Who's the gentleman, Jeff in Florida, who had 70 something?
Mitch.
Yeah. Mitch Reebok's story. And or even a quick 3-way call with Mitch, just somebody. I'm trying to think of who else do you guys know that have that between 50 and 100 agents that have made their move over, that maybe we could reach out and see if they'd just be open to a quick 3-way call to at least pique his interest to then maybe move him to a.
Well, and stories, do we have some stories that I'll find Mitch's, but I know, Jeff, going to find them, you know my time. Where can I go quickly find these stories, package them, and start dripping him some stories of brokers of this caliber?
I mean, my first thought is EXP Life. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Trish, go ahead.
I said the same thing. EXP Life.
Okay. Yeah. And I think you can search on there, just like do a search, doing the search term team or brokerage or some, independent broker. Yeah. And it'll bring up just, some different ones in there. I mean, there's, Chuck Fazio is going to come up 900 agents. There's also going to be some that are 15, 20, 50, there's a good selection of stories in there with that.
And you might, like you just said, maybe shoot a text or an email to Gene Frederick, kind of explaining what you just said. In case he doesn't answer the phone, he might try calling, but send it over and ask him. He's got to know a bunch of them, right? He's involved in so many, bringing on these brokerages as well. Another resort could be Sean Murphy. You reach out to Sean, you shoot him a workplace text, tell him what you got going on, and who would he suggest that could be some team members for a quick 3-way call.
Thank you.
You mind me asking, so now that he is starting to chat with you, what do you think has turned him to where he's now open?
He wants more market share in his area. And the fact that the market is down is a challenge for everybody. He knows he's going to lose brokers as we go through the end of the year here. So it's just how does he
agents
keep up
on his
the
team?
business? He's also very close to retiring. He and his wife own the brokerage. and they're kind of close to turning it over. So some of those issues too.
So he hasn't seen a presentation. He's not really fully aware of what all this could do for him and his team yet.
We haven't gotten that far. I'm trying to get him to talk.
Gotcha. Anybody else have any other suggestions if that next conversation, or what do you think the next step should be?
I mean, my first thought is what we talked about, just sending him some stories, try and just drip on him with a few stories, and just, emphasizing to him that you're not trying to push him over, but just, I'd love to keep this conversation going in terms of why brokerages are moving over here. I know it's tough times in this market. I know you want to expand your market share. I know we can help you with that. I'd love to get on the phone or get on a Zoom just to keep discussing some of the challenges that you're having, and just again to help you evaluate this that much more to see would this be a good solution for you. Just kind of come at it that way, like I'm not here to push.
Jeff,
Kathy, you're muted if you're trying to talk to us.
I always do the takeaway too like that. But the other thing that comes to mind is and maybe you do this in 2 different emails. Maybe you send a story, but then maybe you send one of our great trainings. And the first, because I just had it in Nashville, or, the Google Google My Business with Aaron, send him that hour recording and in the second email, and just talk about like, these are the type things that we can help your agents with, and you to take y'all's business to the next level. Right. And so maybe just drip 1 or 2 over time, really good trainings on him, so he can see like, man, they're doing things that I'm not able to do for my client, for my agents.
Perfect.
I wanted to ask Jeff, what do you think about the numbers that I just received from corporate that I sent to you and Eric? You guys, I think I sent it to all you guys yesterday, the leaders.
Yeah.
What do you think about with that shock him? Can I pull that up real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, do it.
I want Kelly to see this, and because Kelly, you're making me
I'm
think.
going to post this later today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I figured that. So this, you guys, we received from corporate. This is the Freedom Team. These are the numbers as of like last Thursday or something. So you can see the volume that we're doing as a group. So whether or not this might grab a broker, somebody, because if it even breaks down per person, yeah, got almost 7 transactions on average. Total organization size, right, year to date. Just some different numbers here. I don't know how much.
Cool.
4 billion in volume for Freedom Team, which again, you put something like that out there, that's just powerful when you come right down to it,
I love this.
Yeah.
That's neat. Do you have access to that on demand, Sean?
She's been about the last 4 or 5 months. They've been sending like all icon agents for the month. Welcome everybody's what anniversary's coming up, and then all of a sudden they send this about every quarter, and this fully shows all of our numbers, which is kind of crazy to think about, right?
That's nice.
But I think you guys tell me statistically, when you think about a brokerage, even if they had 10 agents or had 100 agents as an average, I mean, Jeff, Kathy, you guys have been doing this for a long time, but that's some pretty good average numbers, even though we have a couple thousand agents. Wouldn't you think that's pretty impressive?
Mm,
Or no?
I don't think so, but
And why is that?
I think, NAR, like the average.
but it's higher. You're right. To Kathy's point, it's higher than the NAR.
Yeah.
But I guess we are talking about, a couple thousand agents, not 50 agents in an office.
Right. And, honestly, it's my lens, it's my sunglasses, if you will, because I was a top agent and did 40 million a year. So for me, that looks low, but, on average, shut up.
Maybe, yeah, instead of sending that, I don't know, maybe you just take the numbers that do look good and put them in an email and stuff. Here's what our group is doing, and then start heading towards stories for brokerages that have come over.
Exactly.
Don't listen to me.
Yeah, the $40 million queen over there.
Well, but Trish, what might be good about that is which numbers do catch your eye, like the 74
Right.
icon agents or
Right.
488 new agents. There's no way he's got 488 agents in his team.
Right.
you know.
There's a lot of really great stuff there.
Well, and I think the 4 billion, just
Right.
take like Sean's talking about, just pick a few of those numbers.
Right. Right.
See,
I love
I mean, I go toward that story in Florida, right? When you start talking about when he came over, I think he had like 77 agents of the brokerage, something like 52 or 54 came over.
Right.
And I remember Gene Frederick said he talked to him the day he was onboarding and said, I'm going to predict 1 year from now, you'll have at least 300 agents on your team. He goes, I'm going to call you at year one and check in on you. He called him right at the 1 year mark. He had 312 agents. So from 52 or 54, whatever it was, Jeff, somewhere in the 50s, it
Mhm.
grew 312 agents. And on his 12th month, his revenue share check was $37,000 net. And when Gene called him, he said, Gene, for as long as I've been running this brokerage, I've never made $37,000 net in a month. And all that
Yeah.
happened in 1 year. And obviously today he's got several thousand agents on his team. Fast
Yeah.
forward. Was it?
Well, and Kelly, that's one thing that's standing out to me too, like that total revenue share, right? $658,000, right? The leader of this organization, that's what he's made just this year off his agents.
Yeah.
So if I'm an independent and I see, and oh, by the way, he didn't have any overhead expenses or anything that went along with that.
Yeah.
So if you frame it up that way, it's like you can't, he can't help but like be what? But here's the other thing you can say too is, and here's the best part, his agents have the same ability to do that too.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Sean, put that up again. Let me just go a quick screenshot. If I can figure out how.
Kelly, one of the things too, like if you want, I did an interview with Mitch, one of those interviews I do, and
Yes.
you could always, send him the link to the video as well, because
So on
he tells
your
his whole
Facebook,
story,
on your YouTube.
Yeah, he tells his whole story and talks about all that stuff that Sean just talked about, but hearing it come from him directly and just the power of that, and
Yeah.
So just FYI, one of the things I would throw out to everybody, guys, like right now, like these independent brokers, especially the ones that have office space, which most of them do, they're not sleeping good at night right now.
That's right.
I'm just telling you, it's a great time to at least reach out and just ask the question if they're open to looking, and and the fact that whatever 500 independent brokers have moved over here in the last 12 months, and just would they be open to just seeing why and how this could benefit not only them as a broker, but also all their agents. And just, again, you're going to get some, nope, not interested, the whatever, but you'll get some that like, well, sure, I'll look at it. I mean, we had our Christmas party yesterday here in Colorado Springs, EXP, and I was actually talking to the managing broker that had just moved over here from Berkshire Hathaway. That office is hurting. I'm just going to tell you, at one point they had 88 agents. They're down to 34. And their monthly office, like the monthly lease on that office space is $25,000. The broker owner has now had to hire, like he's actually leasing out space to other companies in that to start covering some of his cost, and he just lost, at least three of his biggest
Three
producers.
top agents. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, but here's what's going on out there in general. I mean, it's just like that monthly bill doesn't go away. That lease doesn't go away. The light bill, the staffing bill, all the salaries that he's paying, all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're laying people off left and right. We have another brokerage here in town, Colorado Springs, really big. A couple of years ago, they were growing. Great brokerage, great agents, great people leading the company. Everything about it is good. They started a second office downtown. They opened a third office up here in Woodland Park. They have since closed the office in Woodland Park. They've closed the office downtown. They've raised all the fees from a $12,000 cap to a $16,000 cap, whatever. I met with a guy 2 weeks ago that he left because of all the fees, and now he's looking at us. So we're in talks. Again, but this stuff is going on out there, and whether there's 100 closings this month for that brokerage or zero, all the bills are still there regardless. And there's just a lot of pressure a lot of these brokers are feeling. The independent brokers can make that move over here, getting on with, I've got an appointment tomorrow with a guy up in Boulder, 9 agents, or where's he at? Lakewood. 9 agents, small independent brokerage, but it's our third Zoom tomorrow. We're on with Sean Murphy and Amy Weaver, and again, just talking numbers because he's in that position. He's just, you know. So anyway, just things to think about as you're making calls. One other thing I would throw out to you guys, like right now, like here it is. It's, you know, the week before Christmas, you know, whatever, all this kind of stuff. It'd be easy just to check out on all this and just, I'll do it after the holidays. And I'm kind of in that mode. I'll just say like, come next week, at least. I'm like, yeah, my goal is to get everything done by Friday because I'm really hoping I don't get out of my pajamas next week for Monday. Probably won't happen, but here's my goal. Anyway, but one of the things that I've found in doing this now the last several years is this is a great time to at least call. And you're going to get a lot of people. Oh man, you know, I'm definitely open to looking, but you know, it's crazy this week. We got family coming in town, or we're getting ready to leave, or the holidays, all this kind of stuff. But you can get a lot of people set for appointments that are open to talk to you after January. So you can make those calls right now and they're open to it. And then come January 2nd, you're on the phone and now you're just booking appointments because you've already talked to these people this week. It's just something to keep in mind. It's a great week to make calls. They're not working as much. It's busy. They may or may not have time to jump on a Zoom with you. Some will, but some won't, but they'll be open to talk, you know, after the holidays. So it's still a great week to make calls up through Friday. I would be doing it as much as you can. So anyway, just a couple thoughts on that.
And so really, Jeff, are you saying with a lot of them, you know, follow up with them this week, say hi, how are things going? It's thinking about you. I know Christmas is coming up. Hope you and your family have a wonderful, blessed time. And you know, at the same time, obviously, as we're heading into, start asking, I think about 23. Do you mind me asking if you got just a minute? I'd love to know, how'd you wrap things up? Are things starting to turn for you? Just start talking real estate and then say, hey, boy, a lot of things have really been going on over here that have happened that are awesome. And I'd love to see if sometime in January, you and I could just get reconnected. I'd love to share some of the things that we're doing, find out a little bit more about where you're heading in 24 and see if I might be able to help you.
I think both. I think that you could definitely do some follow-up calls with some people that you've spoken to, but I'm just talking like even new calls. I'm going to be making both this week. I mean, I'll be making a lot of new calls this week. I'm just saying some will have the time to look this week. Some won't, but they'll be open to looking come January 2nd. And you can at least, let's pencil something in, you know, how about a Zoom on January 4th at 10 a.m., whatever. I mean, just let's pencil it in. I know things can come up between now and if we need to reschedule, we will, but let's just get something on the calendar, you know, whatever. You'll get people that are open to looking. They just might not have time to do it this week. So it's still a good week to make calls. That would be my point. But yeah, definitely you could reconnect with some of those people that have been around a while, you know, or that you've talked to before. So
I have a question. Jeff, were you able to, did Greg ever call you?
yes, we spoke. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked for about 45 minutes one day. Yeah, just FYI.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm excited. Daryl Clark, he has a gentleman, a broker in Colorado that's coming aboard with a few agents. It should be sometime this week. And Jeff is helping us out with that. So I appreciate it.
Sure.
A question I have, you guys had a slide on. I was just leaving the gym and I didn't see who the slide belonged to of the production.
It
That was
belongs,
mine, Melvin, all my production.
That was Kathy's.
That's all you.
Kathy had a
All
big year.
this is
All
what's
right.
going on in Nashville.
Great
and Kathy's
job,
life.
Kathy. Great job.
Yeah. Should we share that, Jeff? Should we put it on the Freedom Team on Workplace? Is that okay? Or
You can.
It
I think
was
you
Sean's,
can.
Melvin.
I mean,
Sorry.
I was going to do kind of what I did before, Sean, where, you know, you shared this with us about 3-4 months ago, and I posted this. I saw Cliff Freeman posted the other day. I'm going to post something with it. I don't know. Figure out.
These are your numbers, Sean?
this is the Freedom Team's numbers.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
you said they're
Freedom,
my numbers,
okay.
but this doesn't exist without you guys. So yeah, this is, again, so I was asking Trish isn't impressed with it. And I don't know a way to really break that down, Trish, but I get it. You know, all I think about is we say it all the time, right? Once you get to about 100 agents over here, if you start building the rev share, you can't help it, but you're going to have new agents joining, part-time agents joining, and the average is going to start to be pulled down. So I don't know how this, you know what I should ask, and maybe I'll ask that to the lady who's sending me this. How does this compare with other teams of a couple thousand agents? And just see, is our production higher? Is it lower? Where can we use some assistance and so forth? So maybe I'll see if I can dissect and bring you guys back
That's a good question.
other details. Yeah.
But I think you can take, you know, some of these pieces because it is, and depending who you're talking to, like we were already talking about, you can pull some of these things, you know, like for that independent to see you had 488 agents join you this year. Like, okay, that's going to speak to somebody. You know, if you're an independent, you're trying to build your company.
Yeah. Commercial US. It is interesting to kind of think about it.
Let me show something, Sean, real quick. This is
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna share my screen. So guys, this was a post that Sean shared this with us, some of us a while back here. Now this was September. One of the things that's kind of cool to me, I mean, okay, so that was as of the end of August. So between September, October, November, December, we went from 2.8 million to 4.2 million or billion. But that's pretty significant, like in one quarter, whatever. But I'm not going to read this whole post, but if you go to my Facebook page, September 6th, this is what I posted with this. Tim actually went on and basically really took a lot of the wording here that I did. He reworked a little bit for himself, but he actually did a YouTube video on this, which was really good, and probably something I'll do as well. But just talked about, again, Freedom Team and 2.8 billion and growing, and then just really talked about, the power of just like, why wouldn't you look at this kind of thing? But anyway, I don't need to read that long post, but I had a lot of comments on it, 44 likes and, I don't know, a bunch of people commenting and different things from all over the place. But anyway, something to look at. There's one way to use this in the sense of just what you're a part of and the group that we're part of and the group that we're building and how we're helping agents and all this kind of stuff, So anyway, just you can do whatever you want with that or nothing, of course. So I'll stop sharing my screen. That's how I used it. I'm probably going to just take that same thing and just put the new numbers in and just repost it. Sean, that's what I'm thinking probably later today. You're muted, Sean.
I was going to say, thank you for sharing. That's especially that Facebook post that give everybody at least a base foundation. But think about that though. If everybody went and posted that on their Facebook and we just
got powerful. That out,
yeah, that might grab a few people's attention, or use it as a direct email to some of the.
It's a good follow-up email to send. End of the year email. Hey, just whatever, it's, have a great Christmas. Just wanted to share with you, here's what we're doing over here. Again, you're always welcome to come back to me and take a fresh look. I'd love to talk to you. If not, have a great holiday, whatever. Again, it could be a good drip for people you've shown this to, for sure.
And I want to just say, I think a lot of these folks were on there, but the Zoom we had last Tuesday with Alan, the guy who just jumped on YouTube, did anybody not on last Tuesdays? Because that was mind-boggling to me. Kelly, just in summary, if I got it right, he had been in real estate for a few years and was struggling. He was buying leads, he was targeting neighborhoods and stuff, and just with the expenses going out and what he was bringing in, it just wasn't justifiable. And he was about to leave and quit the industry. And so I don't know if his wife suggested to him, but somehow she said, before you quit, why don't you try YouTube? Because they knew some people that were having success. He started January of 2023. It's cold, you guys. Started his first YouTube video. Then he can walk you through. You can guys go and listen to it. Within 4 months, closed his first transaction. Within 7 months, had closed 5 transactions. Just ended last Tuesday. 11 and a half months in, he's going to close at around 5 million, all through YouTube, starting in January. And he's got over 5 million in the hopper leading into 2024. Just incredible stuff about.
Yeah, Andy Hollis.
Andy, thank you. Thank you. Anyway, I was blown away listening to it, going, here's a guy about to leave the industry like 86% of the agents do in 3 years. And guys, he said he almost made the comment, I don't know if I'll ever have to make another outbound call ever. It's now, he said he's got up to like 1,400 subscribers. They're now starting, he's asking his audience, what would you guys like to see? And now he's starting to post his videos, and I think he just does 2 a week now. Yeah, consistently.
Sean, is that video on our YouTube site?
Don't know if it's on there yet. It's definitely on Workplace.
It's on the YouTube. It's on the Freedom Team YouTube channel. It's also on Workplace. You can find it. It's last Tuesday's recording from the transaction.
And really, just an FYI, Jeff, I'll let you kind of share with them what our YouTube channel. You got a better way of probably expressing that, what that's going to look like here in the next 30, 60 days, if you wouldn't mind sharing with the group. And I say that, guys, to go, and every time I'm doing a Zoom, I'm sharing the Freedom Team support and talking so much about what this team and how all of us come together and help each other. But then our YouTube channel is going to be set up where it's going to be very impressive. Jeff, kind of share for a minute, if you wouldn't mind, kind of what that's going to look like over the next couple months.
Yeah, I mean, Tim's doing the biggest amount of work on this. I mean, we're doing some of it together, working with the guy that we've been working with our YouTube stuff. But we're kind of revamping that whole page a little bit. You're going to see a lot different there. It's already got a new cover photo on it, but we're kind of, we're all the testimonials that we've done. A lot of you guys helped us out with that. We're going to have a playlist of testimonials, on there, which will be nice. Again, just, you could always send a link to the playlist, as just a follow-up kind of tool or whatever. You can pull certain ones out if you want, use those. I'm working right now on pulling out, really kind of going back through the last couple years of the Tuesday Get More Transactions trainings that we've done, pulling out like the top 25. We're going to just have those highlighted even as a playlist. Like, I mean, I think, some of Aaron's stuff, his listing tools, we'll have Andy in there, I'm sure, with the YouTube, just the top 25, best of those. We'll have the whole playlist is still going to be there, but we're going to have a top 25 as well. Just different things we're doing that, again, it's just great tools for, here's a new agent that you bring on DXP. Here's this watch this playlist, pick out 3 or 4 of these and, what gets your business up and running. I mean, here's what that could turn into, because there's so many things. If people would just plug in more on Tuesdays, and, and again, depending on the topic and the day, and again, people are busy, I get it. But for those of you who haven't been on there, I mean, I've shared it several times now. Like, 21 years in the business myself, I honestly probably, if I had, here's a list of 10 things I need to do on Tuesday, that wouldn't be on there. I'm just telling you, because I'm just like, I know I could get something out of it, but I'm busy and other things to do. Well, Kathy and I, since we kind of headed up, it forces me to be there. And I know my wife and we were laughing because I think we've had 7 or 8 closings this year that have come directly from what I've picked up on those Tuesday masterminds, just because I have to be there every week. I'm like, oh, wow, what an idea. Lane, you got to see this. It's just stuff, we had one deal, and I've shared this. We had one deal. We did a housewarming party, after a closing, like something I learned on here and how to do that. That housewarming party coming out of that closing led to 7 more closings this year out of just that one thing that we did. And it was just an idea that I picked up on here. We had 3 closings 2 weeks ago that came from our Google business page, and that stuff I've set up just working with Aaron, which is why I wanted to get Aaron on to do that training, because it's just like, it's working. We got a new listing. We got a new listing we'll put on probably this week, and it came from just a call from our Google business page last week. 2 right now actually that are on the market. So I mean, there's just things that are picking up on that. So again, you cannot. The more you guys could be there to support it, obviously it's good stuff. I promise you, if you haven't been there, but get your people on there and keep talking about that. Keep talking, and great stuff to talk about when you're reaching out to other agents or brokerages. I mean, we've been highlighting a lot of that with this guy that we're getting on 3rd time tomorrow, the broker owner. You still do all the stuff you're doing with your group. You can do that, but look at what we can also provide. Can you not see how everything I've just shown you? Can you see how you could do an extra 6 to 8 deals in the next 12 months just by plugging into what Freedom Team is offering and all the stuff that DXP is doing? Is that possible to do an extra 6 to 8 deals? Yeah, of course. So number one, it covers any talk about, yeah, but your cap 16,000. I'm only paying 10 over here. Okay, so you're $6,000 more to be over here. If we just do one extra deal, you're more than covering that cost, and we're going to help you do an extra. You just said that you could do an extra 6 to 8 deals by plugging in.
Yeah.
So who cares about the $6,000 difference in your cap? There's so many ways to like word this and talk this where it's like, wow. And then take it out. I always ask the question, learn this from Russ Legg, and like, how long do you think you'll be in business? Another, if they're younger, at least another 20, 25 years, or they've been around for a while, probably another, I got another 5 to 8 years and I want to be out. Okay. Let's just say that it's a $6,000 difference, but we're going to add another, $40,000 in commissions a year to your plate, and you're going to be in the business for another 10 years. That's $400,000 more in your bank account after 10 years than if you just stay where you are right now. When you start running those numbers like that with people and start playing that, it's almost like, wow, okay, this is bigger than I think. Because, a little tiny difference sometimes doesn't mean so much. I'll just stay where I'm at. But when you start running those numbers in a long scale like that and really working that with people, helping them to see that, it's like, man, the lights come on. Wait a minute. How much is it really costing me to stay where I'm at? How much more would I put in my pocket if I actually made the move? How could I not make the move? That's kind of this is where this starts going when you start playing around with that a little bit, and then we're not manipulating it. This is the truth of it. People need to see it, and understand it. So, I'm getting way off topic. Sorry. I'm just going. Anyway.
But it's good, you guys. I mean, I always share the Aaron Kins story. you know, even though none of us can control the stock price, I mean, his story is fascinating. When Jeff brought him on, right? He was an independent broker, had 9 agents, made the move over. He was doing 47 million, and he was the rainmaker. His brokerage was doing 47. He was the rainmaker doing about 23 million when Jeff reached out to him. You guys, he saw the deal, realized he'd be icon. He was tired. He had realized if he pulled his 23 million out, his independent office was upside down for 5 years straight. If he pulls his production out, he's making no money. So he decides to come over, and I think 5 of his 9 agents came with him. He didn't do any attraction the first 2.5 years. Obviously, he got in 5 years ago and caught that right up with the stock. But I'll always just say, look, he's a big producer. He does 20 million plus, but in 2.5 years, he turned around and cashed out 1,000 of his shares, paid his house off, paid his cars off. He calls Jeff back. And as we said to Jeff, man, I've been in real estate now for almost 20 years. The last 2.5 years have entirely changed my life. His stock went up to $1.2 million, cashed out 1,000 shares, paid his house and cars off. Said, thank you, Jeff, for sharing this with me. I share those kind of stories. I'll do one more. Nicole Smith, the lady who I brought in back in Dallas, been in real estate for about 15 years. When we reached out to her, she was a KW doing about 11, 12 million. She said when we were halfway through the presentation, she was looking at the icon piece going, oh God, I'd have nothing to lose. What the heck? I'll come over at least try it for a year. If it's not good, I'll go back to KW and negotiate a better split. She came over. Here's what happened to her. 13 million, 15 million, 18 million, 21 million last year. This year in 23, like Jeff used to say from the very beginning, if you come over here, at minimum, you'll look up in 4 or 5 years and you'll have options. Meaning right now you got some stock equity. Hopefully you're making a couple thousand in rev share. Where she this year went from 21 or 23 million, she did in 22, purposely pulled back the throttle. And she is this year going to do somewhere between 6 and 8 million, which she said she can do in her sleep, right? She was coming off of 20 million. And by doing that, she's now went from working about 50, 60 hours to about 25 to 30 hours. She said she's probably going to do this 2 to 3 more years, build her equity up some more, and then ride off into the sunset. But she went from, a 50-hour work week down to about 25 to 30 hours. She's traveling, spending time with grandchildren. And now she's giving out a lot of that production to agents there in Dallas, and she does a 25-75 split. So she's bought her time back. Why? Because her stock equity is now well up over $500,000. She's making about 1,500 to 2,000 a rev share. So exactly what Jeff, you used to say years ago, at minimum, you look up and have options. It's changed her whole life. She said she's probably going to retire 7 to 8 years earlier because of the stock equity. So, we just in the midst of having a conversation with someone, drop little stories, right? Because it makes people think, God, what if, maybe I don't do 20 million, but what if I came over there for 6, 8, 10 years? God, what would it look like for me? It's just, just learn some of those stories again. Go to life.exp realty and you can get some good stories out there as well.
One of the things that I follow up with when I tell a couple of stories is, and this is more if I'm talking to a veteran agent, particularly one who might have been at a couple of other agencies in their career. But after I tell a couple of those powerful stories like that, I say, so many of our agents, I hear it time and time and time again, how EXP has just completely changed their life. And in no company that I was in prior to EXP have I ever heard those words spoken. And I hear it just about daily in our company. And I know, being on the outside looking in, it sounds like, oh, like how can that really be? But you follow that up after with those couple of stories. Because that's power, even being in EXP for, 6 years now, that's powerful when I even hear that still today. And I'm one of those people that say that. But to really think that your company literally can change your life. And there's not another company out there that agents are saying that about, not one.
Kathy, share real quick, just for people that haven't heard it, just the couple things that happened with you as far as the stock with Steve, but then
That's
your
what I was
battle
gonna
property.
say
Just
as
share
well.
share that story just so people have it. Again, these are stories, guys, you pick up on, and you can just share these in presentations, depending on the person you're meeting with, meet them where they're at in terms of what story would best impact them. But to have that arsenal of stories, like it just, what you just said reminded me of something. Let me tell you about what happened. Kathy Carter, one of the Freedom Team founders that I'm a part of. Tell that story.
Yeah. So for Steve and I, we came on with EXP in 2017, and in 2020, we'd accumulated a lot of stock, and similar to Aaron, we just chose to sell some of our shares, we paid off one of our rental houses. That would have never happened had we not made the move to EXP. And to me, that was just gravy on top when, you know, the stock isn't what drew me here, because I thought if I make anything, I've never made stock at any company, that would just be cherry on top. Well, 3 years in, when we looked at our portfolio and we realized how much stock we'd accumulated, we literally just had to sell a fraction to pay off this rental home. And so that was one thing that was huge. And quite honestly, we had enough to pay off another rental home, but we just, you know, chose, just because the interest rate was so low, all those things, not to do it, not to pay another one off. But then that was the end of 2020. But in the middle of 2020, right in the middle of COVID, Steve, my husband, had to have quadruple bypass very unexpectedly. We did not see that coming. And, you know, because simultaneously I had done Agent Attraction, which is obviously what we're talking about today. It had produced enough income for me and him in the 3 years that paid more than our bills every single month. And so when he had to go for bypass surgery, you know, I literally completely stepped out of my business for about 60 days. And you know how it is in real estate. When you step out of your business for 60 days, you know, that's 4 or 5 months worth, because you're not prospecting, you're not doing the things that you got to do to build your pipeline, you know, 30, 60, 90 days out. So I completely stepped out and just 100% focused on him. And it was because the blessing of the rev share that had been created that gave me that opportunity to do that. I can't, you know, and he and I talked about this a lot through, you know, his recovery process and everything. The fact that when you go through something like that, it's a difficult time. But the fact that we didn't have to worry about the financial component of our home, like, was such a freedom, you know, for us, and such a huge blessing. And we didn't see that coming, like I said, and it was because I, you know, built it before I needed it, you know. And, you know, like Jeff has a similar story, right? You know, where he had prostate cancer, came out of nowhere. And because he had built some leveraged income and passive income before every EXP, you know, you got to build it before you need it. Because unfortunately life happens, you know. Sean was just sharing before we jumped on with a friend of his, like out of the blue, some crazy stuff, you know, he's in critical condition now, like fine one day, not fine the next day. And so it's important, you know, really, you guys are on here to build the rev share. You know, you want to do it before you need it.
It's a good
Because
point.
it just allows that mental freedom and that peace if you've got that covers your bills, and you have to step out of production.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Pat.
Karen
Yeah.
Johnson. I did an interview with Karen Johnson. She's an EXP agent in Atlanta. And just again, real quick, she took 18 months off because of her rev share. Her husband got diagnosed with cancer, and he did pass away. And, you know, she tells that whole story in the interview, but he did pass away. But for her to be able to take 18 months and just not have to worry about it, just focus on him, and they just had, you know, able to live out those
And
18
spend
months.
full life with him.
Yeah, exactly. Just be there full time. Just, you know, and, you know, he was still, you know, up and moving and active, and they got to travel. They got to do different things and build some great memories and more stuff, whatever. He eventually did pass away, and she went back to work, but she tells that story and just, you know, breaks down crying about it. Just thank God she found EXP. Because again, just, she was just able to do that, you know, and again, like, such a great thing, you know? So anyway.
And I'll thank you for sharing that, guys. Those are some powerful stories. And for some of you guys that haven't heard mine, back in you know, I started April 2017. In early 2019, my son had a TBI, traumatic brain injury, for those of you that haven't heard, and he was in intensive care in the hospital for 8 days. My wife and I were right by his side, and at that point in time, I had just went up over 5 figures in rev share. And I remember thinking, praise God, because I think back about when I had a job and you're so stressed out and you can't even get away from your office and that kind of thing. And it wasn't just those 8 days. For the next, probably the first 6 months after it happened, we must have been to 10 different doctors all over DFW. And I was spending literally 3, 4, 5 hours a day with him, going to hospitals, doctors, all that kind of stuff, which never, all I kept thinking and praising God, going, I can't fathom if this would have happened when I had a traditional job. Rev share is, I love what you said, Kathy. Build it now because no one knows what could happen down the road in the next 6 months, 1 year, 3 years. So good emotional stories. That gets me a little choked up still when I think about it. But thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
As we wrap up, I have a Zoom here in about 18 minutes. I'm going to jump off in about 15. But questions, or again, is kind of like Kelly started off with. Anybody have anybody that you're either talking to and you're wondering what's the next step, or you're going, okay, hey, I've just come across somebody else I want to reach out to. How should I approach them? Anything like that we can help out with?
Hey, Sean, what's an objection you would use for an agent that says, independent agent that wants to, they keep using the term with culture. I want to be in an office with culture, but they want to be in an office space. And I
Yeah.
kind of asked them, I said, why do you want to be in an office? They're like, well, I just like being around other agents. I'm like, why do you want to be around other agents? And I found that sometimes they don't want to work, or they prospect other agents all day and then go to lunch. So I don't know if it's really culture or that they're seeking out distractions. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that, and what objection handler you use with agents that say they want office space.
Almost a combination of what Jeff was saying earlier, saying, you know what, first of all, I get it. Some people do want an office, and here's what's wonderful about EXP. You can do both. You can still have your own office over on the side. You can have the best of both worlds. You can have a traditional brokerage, right, where we have whatever you want to do, 70-30 split, 60-40, whatever, build your team and so forth. But we also have a modern team. And I talk a little bit about that, but then again, we've got people on Freedom Team who have an office. I've got 2 agents on my team who both have an office because it was a local, kind of a smaller town. I got a guy in Northwest Arkansas. And again, he just said, Sean, in this particular area, it was kind of a small town outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. He said, people just want to have an office. So he generated an office. He's charging each person $50. He buys leads and all that stuff. He has like, I want to say 7 on a 50-50 split, but he's got 19 on his team. And his rev share total, so he's kind of got the best of both worlds, and he has an office and it's completely paid for by the way everything is structured. So you can have the best of both worlds. And then back to what Jeff said, we've got to go through the stories of what if we could add an extra 6 to 8 deals? Let me show you all the different things we're doing to help grow production for you and your team. Again, it doesn't take but probably 1 or 2 of those deals to close to pay the price for the office. I don't know. Jeff, where would you guys go with that? Anybody else some feedback on that?
That was good. I think
Regis.
Yeah, I was gonna say Regis. Go ahead, Tim.
Michael, you can talk about Regis, and before you talk about it, I would confirm we have a Regis in the area that agent is in. Like in Louisville, we have 3. But you can say, imagine a scenario where you're in the office every day, and instead of being with people that are actually competing with you, imagine being with other business owners that could potentially become your clients. I mean, those are marketing opportunities when you're sitting there with an insurance guy and a mortgage guy, all name whatever trade you want. I mean, those are opportunities to get leads in your office, which they're not getting now. They're competing for business.
That's what I say too. And the other thing, along with the questions that you're asking, Michael, a lot of agents are just people, right? So they want to be around people. And so I say a lot of times, the misconception about EXP, because we're virtual, is we don't do anything together in person. And that couldn't be further from the truth, right? And so I talk about some of the things that we do here in Nashville, and I know there's probably things in Louisville, but things we do, together as a group, right? We have our regionals, right? We're doing those twice a year now. And so I talk about a lot of the things that we do in person, locally, so that you get the best of both worlds, right? You can go to training in your pajamas if you want to, right? You don't have to get all dressed up to go into the office like you probably do now with XYZ company. But we also, so you can do a lot of online live trainings in collaboration. But yet you can do a lot of in-person things too, from a networking and collaboration and those type things. And so, people have the misconception because we're virtual that we don't do anything together in person.
Yeah, because I mean, I've seen Jeff more lately than I've seen my wife. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
And that's the other thing, quite honestly, and I say that too. I say, look, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've been in EXP 6 years. I have more collaboration with an EXP than I've had in any company ever that I've been a
100%.
part of. And, it's one of those things sometimes, Michael, I'll say their name. It's one of those things, Michael, it's almost like you have to experience for yourself to understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it really is a collaborative environment, because we're all agent owners, for multiple reasons. But don't misunderstand, we do some things in person too. Like if that's important for you, we have that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you.
I think you're on the right track, Michael, too. Just asking them, like, what are you looking for? Like, why do you want to be in the office? Like, what, is it just, I just love being around people. I mean, because if it's something like that, like for myself, even like 3 or 4 days a week, I'll leave this office here, my home office, and I'll take my stuff and I'll go to a coffee shop. It's the same coffee shop almost every time. I know everybody in there. Everybody behind the counter knows I'm a realtor. They've all got my cards. They've all got, I mean, everybody just knows. I've picked up multiple deals over the years from just being in there, whatever. But so I do get more done sometimes when I just get out of the house to do that. But you can, to be around people, there's lots of ways to be around people. If you want to be around people, Regis can help with that. Brent Gove always tells the story where out there at the Regis where he's set up with his team, like they picked up multiple deals. People coming in, they set them up temporarily to Regis because they just moved into wherever he's at, a temporary office space. Next thing you know, he's picking them up to go show them homes. Like that kind of stuff. There's so many advantages to just being out. Right. But then all that culture that we have, here's all the stuff we're doing. With our Christmas party yesterday, we had 100 agents there from all different groups. There was, I don't know, 7 or 8 of us from Freedom Team. There was people there from all over I've met a bunch of new agents yesterday. It was just fun, and so like that stuff goes on all the time. And same as Kathy, I got more relationships now than I've had in my 21 years of doing this.
Yeah.
Which is just bizarre being at a virtual brokerage. I mean,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense up here
No.
until you experience it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, lots of ways to handle it.
Well, and to that point, maybe, I mean, it is virtual, it's not in person, but maybe invite them to a couple of Tuesdays, to experience. We all do that. I think a lot of us do that so they can start, seeing how we collaborate and all, even virtually. Right. And then they may start thinking, okay, like, wow, all right, I don't have to be in person for all this stuff. So just invite them as a guest on some of the Tuesdays.
Anybody else have a question or thought or comment before we wrap things up? Tim, you were late getting on here. We were rescheduling with Pete. Pete's going to come in sometime here in January. Had a last minute thing that he wasn't able to get on here, so we turned it into. It's been good. Appreciate everybody being here.
Yeah, thank you guys for jumping on. Kathy, Jeff, Tim, thank you guys, and all of you that are familiar faces. It really is awesome to get on, and you see the same folks, and I hope you all feel the same way I do. It energizes me to see you guys come back, and we're all just collaborating and doing that every week. And that's a great comment, though, Mike. See Jeff more than your wife. That's just a good line to talk to somebody. I see my teammates every single day, kind of thing. But that's good. Yes. Anything else? I've got to jump here in just a couple minutes. If anybody got one last thing to throw out, a question or thought, anything?
Talking about collaboration, I just want to say that this group is amazing and that I feel a lot of love for all of you. And yeah, I actually see Jason a whole lot more than you because he's right here all the time and we work together. But yeah, there's so, and I can't, is it because we're all owners? I don't know, but maybe we're all on the same path to growth, both, personally, professionally, and financially. And we're building each other up and lifting each other up and supporting each other. And oh my God, I just got chills down my spine.
It's Trish, you get me fired up. Your sincerity when you're sharing that, man, if you're just talking to another agent and just going, I've been doing this for however long, you've been doing it a long time, Trish, and just sharing that 30-second story about what it's doing to you and the camaraderie and how you just got goosebumps. And yeah, so in your past, all the brokerages, have you ever experienced anything remotely like this?
Never.
That's to me, that's powerful, man. I've never been at another brokerage. I don't even know how to compare that, but to hear that story, it moves me and I want to share that. when I'm talking to other agents, because so many people want that, right? That culture, that camaraderie and stuff. And it sounds like we take it to a whole nother level over here.
Well, Michael, you've been around for a long time in the business too. Have you ever, in any company you've ever been a part of?
No, and it's you know what, when I was 15 years with Remax, and you know, the old adage about a broker for a newbie coming in the market is, here's your desk, here's your phone, good luck, kid, you're on your own. Because they don't give you the guidance, they don't give you the, and you can use that, Sean, if you want to.
I like that. If you type that in
But,
the chat box.
But they don't give you, and they give you, you know, every year when you hit benchmarks, executive club, production awards, they give you a nice little wood plaque. And so now I get these beautiful pieces of crystal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's nicer than a block of wood.
Yeah.
But when I got one of the first ones of these, and I saved up those old blocks of wood, and I took them all out in the back, and it made a really hot burning fire.
Bye.
And I put them all in my fireplace because all I got was basically a pat on the back, a block of wood, and a, hey, go do it again. So this isn't just a piece of crystal. It's $16,000. It's stock awards that you get back. It's the culture that we're on right now. So this is more than a symbol of just a piece of crystal to me. So that if you need a story on that, you know, I never had a better day than burning all those blocks of wood from Executive Club from Remax and burning that balloon. And if I had a thing, I would have shot the balloon out of the sky. So you know.
But you know what? I think that too actually makes me think, which is partly why our culture is what it is, because how Glenn set this up from the beginning, those that have that piece of crystal, as you just said, to be able to capitalize on that whole 16,000, they've got to pour back into all the other agents. Right. So it was created right off the bat where our top agents have to pour back into the agents to really capitalize on that whole $16,000.
Well, not only that, and Tim can attest to this because he's a former Remax owner, but our broker was like, hey, we're one big family. And he said that, but the culture was, I'm sitting next to another pit bull that's not going to pay my mortgage, that is not incentivized whatsoever to make sure that I'm successful. Jeff Morrell doesn't have to do all the things that he does for me in Louisville, Kentucky. Kathy, you don't have to do anything for me. Sean, you don't have to do anything. But what you do helps us all in that culture, in that family. So I appreciate all you do, and it helps us all grow. And it's so far from where I was for 15 years that I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
And these are awesome, man. I'll be sharing the stories you guys just talked about today. The culture, the camaraderie, to be able to hang around people that are lifting you up, that care about you. We're all going the same direction because of the structure of EXP and the 3 revenue streams. There's a different mindset every time you wake up. Go, man, if I just do what I need to do, boy, the future looks a lot brighter here than any other brokerage I could be at. That's great stuff, you guys.
Aaron Ken used to get a red hat that said Capper. There's your prize.
Had a couple of those.
So Aaron just told me when he was in Nashville, I flew him in for that class. And so another piece of his story, Sean, is he and Amanda just sold a few more shares of stock and bought a lake house.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Investment property. So add that to the Aaron Ken story.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So they're going to Airbnb it. So it's about an hour away from them. They're going to Airbnb it. So bought an investment property with his stock as well.
That's awesome. Well, I'll share one story before I jump here 1 minute. My close, thank you, Kelly, for Done For You for bringing them on board. I close on December 29th.
Yay.
My very first rental property. And I'm so jacked, you guys. You know, obviously the cost segregation, it's going to be about $75,000 savings on my taxes this year. The equity, I'm going to flow about $150 to $200 cash flow a month. And my goal, God willing, is to get a property every single year for at least the next 6 years straight. And I don't think I'd have obviously done that at all, Kelly, if it wasn't for you. So it's going to add to supplemental retirement and all that kind of stuff. So I'm fired up, and just thank you, man, for Done For You is awesome. I've got to run, guys. So have an incredible week. If I miss all you guys, I mean this sincerely, man. Go spend time with your family. Take some time off. Do your best to unwind and have an incredible Christmas. All right,
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Appreciate you guys. I got to run, man. Have a great week.
Merry Christmas,
Great week.
everybody.
Merry Christmas, Sean.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Hank Avnick coming on.
Yeah,
Okay?
be
We're gonna
great
on there.
tomorrow.
It's going to be
Don't
good.
miss it.
Yep. We'll
Bye,
see you.
y'all.
Have a good day.